Welcome back.
Well,
if you're still interested in this podcast, Delon, we're back and we've been back.
wow.
In fact, we never left.
Yeah, you.
I smell. Because I haven't showered. I've been right here. That's how much cinema means. Woo! Welcome back to the WatchTower Podcast, the film review podcast by cinema lovers for cinema lovers on the Towercast Network. Yeah, we got an audience today. Cut to the Austin cam. It should be working now.
It's
Austin
really
cam.
nice.
Bang.
Honestly, one of my favorite shots on this podcast.
Thanks to our amazing cinematographer right here, Michael DeLau.
Cinematographer.
Cinema.
Simama.
Simba.
Thank you.
I am your fellow humble film servant, Carlos de la Torre. And joining me today are my co-host, Mr. Michael DeLau.
I am the man with no name.
I just said your name. My other co-host, Mr. John Eric Castro.
We're here to talk about a serious man, and this guy is definitely not a serious man.
And that's
Try
by
me.
certainly not least very bummed out because he's not having coffee at the very moment. Mr. Austin Young, make sure we're sounding good on the ones and twos.
Did you even intro us on the last episode?
I don't know, maybe.
I don't think you did.
Intro.
No, we just went into it.
On-
That's
on
true.
which one?
I did
On the
notice
last
that.
one. Yeah. You do not
I'll
care
need to mama
about it?
también?
Yeah.
We just started
We're-
talking about
if-
it, which is cool.
I care
Oh,
about
I'm
Austin.
sorry. I didn't know.
You didn't intro any of us.
That's
Because
true.
we were right
Except my damn
into the
self.
conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
We're here in studio.
Castro, don't give him an excuse.
We're here in studio. We're talking about Mr. Michael DeLau's pick of the week.
Hi, Mom. I know you don't watch it anymore, but
She really stop watching?
no, she watches. Hopefully.
A serious man.
A serious man. Cohen Brothers.
2007.
That's exactly what I was gonna look
9.
at.
Nobody believes it. 2009.
He's right.
Dang,
2009. A Serious Man.
man.
The film right after Burn After Reading, which I also recently saw like a year ago.
Oh wow, what a
Burn After Reading?
yeah.
Like what a choice to go from that to this. Both
Yeah.
films are fucking weird, man. Like they really are. Burn After Reading was a little more fast, quicker pace, I guess, but it's still fucking weird.
It kind of left me with the same thing.
Yeah,
Kind of like
yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way about a Coen Brothers picture until I saw Inside Llewyn Davis, but that one just made sense, I guess. No, that ending like just stuck
I
with
kind of
me.
know. I like the ending. It was just could have gotten like
historically
5
factual.
seconds more.
What, the tornado? You want?
No, 5 more seconds of information.
At least for me, I felt like the ending, it had its beat. Like when I first watched
yeah.
it is one of those kind of like where we'll talk about it
You
more
don't feel
right
like
now.
that beat came fast though? It was a little
What do
like
you mean?
time the bow and then whoosh. Like it felt a little fast for me.
We'll get into that right now.
Ratings. Who do you want to start, pal?
So I picked this film.
Okay.
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
Look at me.
I want you to read
You
it.
give me the sexy eyes. You better do something about
Yeah,
it.
man. Stop licking your lips for this.
Carlos, I would like you to go first.
Jeez Louise, man.
Followed by Castro,
with you,
followed by
dude.
Austin.
I'm with you.
I'm at about a 7 right now.
Yeah.
What?
Damn.
I didn't imagine
Jeez.
higher
Oh,
ratings.
Did you look down? You're like, whoa,
Whoa,
that's down there. Yeah, I'm at about a
what's
7
that rating doing
at the moment.
A
About a
7?
7. Yeah, I like the Coen Brothers a lot. I didn't like them for a long time, and I feel like that period of when I didn't like them, I was quote unquote in my head watching the wrong films. And the
What
film-
period was that?
I mean, it was their early stuff that I didn't
early
really
stuff.
get, and then I saw Hell Caesar, and that started changing the tide for me. And
Which
then,
another one that you hated at first.
and then I saw it a second time. I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Does
is
it have
this?
the same type
Maybe no, Hell Caesar's. I mean, look, I'm biased, right? It's a classic Hollywood picture type of.
but it's got that Coen Brothers kind of like.
It does have the
dream-
quirky dream sequences and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but not as. I mean, I guess the musical sequences are part of it. But anyways,
Yeah,
and then when I saw Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and I was like, "Oh man, these dudes are good."
Yeah.
You
that's
know,
the last
like-
thing they did, huh?
No,
they did something
I was
recently,
looking
I
up.
thought.
They did. Well, no, you know what? They ventured off to do solo films.
Oh shoot!
Joel did the Shakespeare thing with his wife.
Oh,
Macbeth.
yeah, Tragedy at Macbeth.
Yeah, Tragedy at
with,
Macbeth.
Francis McDormand, Denzel Washington.
And then right now they're also producing the Fargo series.
Oh, the Fargo
Oh,
series.
shit, okay.
Right.
What season are they in?
3?
4. Anyways, I guess that's the last.
A 7?
Was it?
Oh,
was
sure.
the Ballad of Buster Scruggs the last thing?
That's what I thought.
No. It was the Tragedy of Macbeth.
Yeah, but that was
2 years
Joel.
ago.
It wasn't both of them.
Oh.
I don't even think they co-wrote that one. Like that was strictly.
Yeah, I'm talking
Joel's
like
thing.
both of them still
Oh,
together.
both?
But I guess
Yeah.
they're venturing off,
Huh, that's so interesting. They produced a Spielberg film recently.
but they didn't.
They didn't direct it. Bridge of Spies. Bridge of Spies was their script.
Really?
Yeah, Bridge of Spies was their script.
Oh man, but that was back in like what 20?
Yeah, I was gonna say like
Yeah,
that's
that was
still
even
pretty
before
old.
Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm at a 7. It just again this one felt like that era of like, what kind of stories are they telling? Like there was that for me, at least the films I've experienced thus far. I'm still missing a lot of their filmography, but that middle period, that post like right before Burn After Reading and on up until like Hell Caesar for me was a weird middle period that I didn't really enjoy for them. And I feel like this fell in that category. Although again, a very specific audience, very specific script.
You think so?
Yeah,
This
I
one?
think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, the universal theme of like when shit hits the fan and life goes south and you can't do anything about it. Sure, you connect with it, but I think the Jewish kind of backdrop consumes the whole film, and it needs to, right? I mean, if you're gonna set it in that backdrop.
But I mean, I'll only argue for the sake of my rating that I thought for somebody who's outside of, let's say, like the Jewish faith and all that, I think what they would connect with this film more. Like,
Man,
because I think a lot of the, well, we can talk more about it right now, but I'll
Interesting.
start off by saying that I think that there was a genuine,
The disconnect of the culture, so
yeah. Like, I think if you were more in the faith, I think some of these themes would seem
for sure.
like either sacrilege or would seem like disloyal and all that kind of stuff.
But there's a
But-
bunch of words that I wasn't like.
yeah, but the thing is that like even
I don't know if it's sacrilege. I mean, I think it's what in my opinion, if I were in the faith, I would probably connect with it like, oh yeah, I felt that before. Like they're actually depicting shit that I haven't. But that's if I were in the faith. If I'm not, I'm looking as an outsider in. But
so
still,
a 7.
Still an interesting perspective. I'm at a 7. Who would you like to go next?
Castro. I mean, on acting and all that. I mean, it's a very different
it's
kind
a great
of
performance piece.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll probably just go off the acting. I'll give it a 7.6.
7.6. Okay.
Because I really like Michael's, what is his name?
Strasberg?
Yeah,
Stolberg, I think.
Stauber.
I think he does a really good job as this guy that's just, you know, Stolberg. You know, like
Just like life shoved in his
everything's
face.
bullying up and how
Fantastic
he's trying to keep his cool, trying to be that nice guy. And I find myself like in a lot of scenes where it's just like you want to smack him. Where towards the end it does happen by the guy that supposedly fucked his wife. So
Well, that was a dream.
well, yeah,
But he gets smacked by God. With that.
True.
I mean, at the end.
And then the supporting cast, dude. What's that guy's name? The uncle. I've seen him in so
he's
many
good. He was
things.
in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh,
we just
yeah.
saw him in Beau's Afraid.
Oh, he came out in Bo's Afraid?
He did.
Yeah, it was a
Richard
super
Kim.
surprising role.
Richard Kim.
Yeah, Richard Kim. I love that guy. Except for the kid. The kid was annoying the hell out of me.
But I mean,
He was
But it
that's
worked.
right.
But it
He
works
was
for the
that's
script.
yeah,
I mean, it
for
works
that script. I mean, the kid pulled it off, but I mean, I also kind of think that like in a role like that, a kid wouldn't have to try too hard to just sound like that. I don't
like
know.
that
That's,
age range.
yeah, especially all the kids. I mean, like, I wouldn't say that their performances were crazy or anything like that, but I would say that their characters were exactly what they needed to be. It was
I
like,
have to tell you, I haven't seen Stolberg in a leading role.
No, he's a character actor.
Oh, exactly.
That's
my
why I'm
point.
like, I'm.
But you know what? The Coen Brothers do that a lot. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, like Tim, he's a regular with them. Tim, Tim, whatever his name is. He's a character actor, and they throw him in leads. You know, he was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
he was the lead in Ballad of Buster Scruggs. He's a key kind of character
the first
for that
one.
episode. So they do that. They throw character.
throw them a bone.
I mean, Frances McDormand in Fargo, man. I mean, she's a leading woman. Don't get me wrong. She's not a character actress by any stretch of the imagination. But even Macy in the lead. You know what I mean? Like that kind of sense of those kind of characters. Yeah, it's interesting.
So 7.6.
A 7.6.
And then Austin on the Austin cam.
Let me sip my water.
Jesus.
Don't edit any of that out.
Since you know I don't have a coffee.
You want some of mine? I'm gonna feed it to you like a baby bird.
Gonna make
Son
some
of a bitch.
coffee.
Let's go.
What you really think about this film?
Oh, daddy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too. I'm like,
Have I ever told you that Austin's ratings are genuinely my favorite? Because I feel like I understand all your guys' ratings, and whenever I hear Austin's rating, I'm like, I never expected that.
6.5.
Never expected
oh
that.
yeah, me neither.
6.5.
Just
Couldn't connect with it. Ending was weird.
I
Yeah, you
hated the
didn't
ending.
like
The
the
ending
ending.
killed it for me.
Really?
Where was it at before the ending? Where that rating would have
okay.
been?
Yeah, that's pretty
Probably
good.
in the 7 range.
Like a soft 7.
A soft.
Soft
And
7.
then I just dropped it.
That ending is kind of perfect, though.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, I like it.
I'll explain why, in my opinion, but it's
Up to you.
see, mama.
No, I this one again.
You've loved this picture for a little while now.
I've
Probably
always
a couple
liked
years.
it.
Yeah.
Where's it on your list?
Where's
in
it
the
on
top
my list?
5?
Is it on your-
For
top
a
10?
while, it was in my like top 10, probably like at the 6 range. You know, like I really liked it. Well,
It's very low.
I mean,
think about it.
there are films that
It's like if the Cohen Brothers directed a Wes Anderson picture.
Oh,
think
that's
about that
pretty-
for a
especially
minute.
The
That's
first,
interesting.
for sure.
No, I feel like with me, there's films that I saw before I became like somebody who was like, I want to get into cinema. I want to become like a cinematographer and all that. And films that I just connect with on a very human level. And those ones just kind of like held a nice place in my heart. And with this one, more than everything else, I love the themes. And then later on, when I started appreciating the Coen Brothers, I love the way that they're able to create these characters.
Because they're your favorite filmmakers right behind Wes Anderson. Right?
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
I
my
didn't know
number
that.
2. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So if it's not Wes, I mean Coen Brothers, like I
Brothers.
think they're absolutely fantastic.
Like everybody's go-to Coen Brothers is like No Country for Old Men, which I haven't seen, by the way.
And Fargo.
Big Lebowski and Fargo, yeah.
Big
Fargo
Lebowski.
for sure.
Yeah.
But it's No Country. Everybody's like No
everybody,
Country.
yeah.
Oh, well, you guys praise the Ballad of the.
I love the Ballad of
I
Buster
haven't seen that
Scruggs,
one,
man.
dude.
And I
But
think
you
it's just
guys
because
always
around the
mention-
time we started writing
honestly,
an
I
anthology.
thought it was like a parody every time I.
No,
it's like a,
No, it's terrific, man. You're right. But that's because the Coen Brothers are very good at this like dark comedy aspect, and that's how they market their films.
Oh, okay, okay.
They're-
Inside Llewyn Davis.
How many
Yeah,
episodes is
Inside
it?
Llewyn
or-
Davis is
Well, it's an anthology, so it's like one
It's up there for
film.
me.
But I think it's like 5 stories. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, there's so many aspects I love about it. I genuinely love the story, all the beats and everything, the characters. I know that this is not like the highest on like my Coen Brothers list, especially now that I've seen more of their works and I've seen their range and all that. But I think it's slept on by a lot of people, and I'd probably get this one like an 8.5. You know,
Okay.
I think it's good. I don't think it's their best work, but I think if you skip it, you're missing an interesting part of their filmography.
Could we talk about the story?
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's such a universal theme, and that's why you were saying like, oh, if you're Jewish, you'll understand that more. But I feel like
No,
What do you mean the universal
you'll
thing?
understand the connective tissue more. The overall story is universal.
Not the Jewish thing.
But it's like the connective tissue. It's like everything's together with the story. It's universal. You can understand it, but like the thread is tied in with all the Jewish aspects. So like if you're
That's
Jewish,
it.
it's gonna like hit you harder. I think.
I don't
I
know.
agree with that.
No, because
Why?
here's my justification for why it hits non-Jewish audiences harder is the whole gag of a get, where basically they're going. They're
I didn't understand that.
Well, the get is
no, for sure, I got it. But eventually, but
No, but the
somebody
thing-
who's Jewish would be like, oh, that's pretty funny
no,
'cause-
but the thing is that whenever they go around Jewish peers, especially like he goes to the young rabbi, and then he goes to like a Jewish what is it called? A lawyer and like family members and stuff like that. And then he's like, oh, they want to get, which is supposed to be something embedded into like the Jewish faith and all that. But everybody, even all the people who were like, oh, go talk to a rabbi, are like, a get? Like, what's that? And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, a get. But it's kind of like
to
this.
explain to everybody in case you missed it in the movie. A get is a ritual divorce, essentially.
Yeah.
In the Jewish faith.
No. Well, I thought it was like.
Basically, if you want to get divorced in the faith so you can remarry in the faith, you have to get a get.
Ceremoniously.
Can you dumb it down a little bit more?
You have to get like there's a ritual or a ceremony in the Jewish
Like,
faith.
What's the
where-
difference between? Okay.
What do you mean?
So you have to do it's just the ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like it's
within
the
the
divorce
faith. Yeah.
with-
Yes.
Yeah.
So the divorce aspect. Let me put it this way: when you get married in the Catholic faith, right?
Yeah.
You get
Oh,
married.
that's
through,
good,
you get
yeah,
married
that's
through
good.
the church, and you get married through the court, right?
Right.
But when you get married through the church, in this scenario, you'd have to get divorced through the church.
So that's kind of what.
So yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, that's the
It's a
get.
ceremony.
But that whole thing of a get and how important it is and how they're just
and
kind
how
of
not important it is.
no,
also
but
at
also
the
that
same
they're
time.
throwing it onto this guy that it's like, hey, you don't understand any of what's going on, why things are in turmoil, and you have to accept it. Like
That's a very
I love that scene, dude.
That's
where-
a
Yeah.
very Cohen Brothers thing to do, by the way, is
You
to
not
get
tell?
this character, this kind of homely, almost aloof character, and then just throw him into some shit.
Yeah.
And let's see how he deals with it.
exactly,
That's true.
and that's why I feel like whenever it brings up like Jewish terms or like prayers or different things,
There's a lot of
there's this theme of chasing
that's
for
interesting.
meaning, and if you, it's almost like even like with the kid, the whole idea of like a bar mitzvah is that you're reading scripture and you're supposed to be this spiritual coming of age and a man and all
But
that.
he's high as a kite.
No, he's high as a kite, and then also he doesn't really practice understanding it. He's just trying to memorize what's being sung on a record. And it's like,
So what's his?
I'm just saying that the whole concept of performing this prayer, he doesn't understand any of what it is, but it's supposed to be the thing to lead him
Oh, I
into
see what you're saying. I
manhood.
mean, in the
Yeah.
Jewish faith, or in any faith,
Yeah.
it's very much that. It's tradition over actually caring about the tradition.
Yeah.
It's just like, my ancestors have done it for so long. It's
Yeah.
embedded in my DNA.
Yeah, and you're gonna do it. Everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he was amazing." He didn't understand what he was
Yeah,
doing, and that's the thing. A lot of what we do in
I have a
society.
theory about that, by the way. I have a
Yeah.
theory about the fact that he was kind of obsessed with what the uncle was working on, and it sparked some kind of genius in him.
Yeah.
A little.
You think so?
A
Well,
little. Yeah.
The interesting thing is that it's every person in this film, much like in a lot of other films that I like, and I think in other Coen Brothers films, they're trying to understand why everything's happening.
And we're there with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The
exactly.
audience is
So like with the
directly there.
Lebowski and all those, I mean, it's understanding like why is this happening? Even like in Fargo, where
Yeah,
William H.
she's-
Macy's character is kind of like, oh well, that's not important. I just need this to happen. It's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, but why are you like, like
yeah, and
anyway.
Frances McDormand's character
Exactly.
too. She's like thrown
And-
into
and-
it. She's just a little more optimistic about it. But
Yeah.
you see that a little bit in Old Brother.
yeah.
Everybody's trying to understand what the fuck is going on and how they became
Especially-
famous pop stars by being convicts.
No, and
it's
then
like,
the whole thing that they're saying, oh, but if I go into this like baptism, God's gonna save me, and then I'll be okay. And they're like, and Clooney's
man,
character.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
How much religious imagery the
Yeah.
Coen Brothers really instill, because that's not the only time it's happened.
it's the chase
Which
for
other
meaning.
Oh, brother, like when we
Yeah.
were talking
Oh,
about the baptism.
But
And,
yeah, but which other one?
well, look, also know Oh Brother, the scene with the guitarist who made a deal with the devil,
Exactly.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of
No, and then especially at the end where it's kind of like they're about to be killed and they're at the end of the rope, and
Yeah.
then like a
Inside
flood
Llewyn Davis,
washes
too.
everything away, and then they're fine.
Inside
and
Llewyn
it's
Davis too.
yeah. So
Uh,
it's this hunt for meaning, and it's screaming into a void and expecting an answer and getting nothing in return, or
With,
getting
like, the freaking-
bad things that happen to you.
Well,
And-
that's the point, right? Is like they get, like, for instance, we go through this journey with this character, and that's why I felt like it went a little fast, because we get to a point where it's like, man, this guy's just like hit after hit, like he's got a shitty downslope
But
right
was
now.
it because of his religion that he wasn't? Because all of us would have, at some point, would have already been like, this is
No,
enough.
no,
Why
because
does it
he-
keep
No.
boiling
But
up?
think about the
Is it religion?
the subtext of his consciousness, the dreams he's having, right? And then we get into the scene of the pool scene. And the uncle is just like, I'm done, dude. Like, he hasn't given me anything. How are you know?
But he asked him, like, when he wakes up, like, did
we do that?
And he
he's
was like, yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like those things are seated in him. Like the desire to want to stay true to your faith, but at the same time understanding
That's
that,
what it
like,
is.
Where am I at with this? You know,
Exactly.
and trying to seek like answers, and nobody has an actual.
No, and then,
That's what I felt
and then
seeing it. I was
look
just
at
like-
what he is. He's a professor at a university teaching theoretical physics. Theoretical physics essentially is supposed to be theories that explain life and everything. So
that explain
he studied for years and is now teaching at a place where he's supposed to explain to people how we've developed concepts to understand everything. And that's why he always says, I'm trying to be a serious man. I'm trying to do things correctly because
Right.
I want to understand it.
Okay,
Because that's
And-
how he's done it his whole
The
life.
Coen Brothers in this thing. Help me understand this.
Yeah.
They're doing things I usually love
Like?
that I didn't like in this film.
Okay.
I have two examples right now.
All right.
The first example is I was reading that the opening scene, right? People are talking Yiddish, the
Yeah.
couple, the wife and husband.
Yeah, yeah.
That whole thing. Does nothing for the plot.
Yeah.
In fact, they admitted that they wrote it as a short film.
I was gonna ask you. It was like
There was no purpose
Whoa.
other than this.
There's no callback, no nothing.
This is the purpose. So the purpose of that scene, number one, it was written as a short film, and then they just decided to toss it in a film. The reason they did this is to acclimate the audience. Is to make them like, yo, you're going into a Jewish world. Let me throw you into an extremely Jewish world. And like, that's the point. Okay? That's one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say I usually love that because, like, you see La La Land, and we open with this big musical number. That has to do with the themes of the film,
Yeah.
but it's not driving the characters forward necessarily. It's not doing
Yeah.
much, right? But it's set to open a musical so that people understand you're walking into a musical. Okay, I usually love that. That's one. The other thing that I'm usually like really like is Woody Allen does this a lot. Woody Allen's Jewish. He's a neurotic Jew. I mean, he's like Larry David and like these guys. I usually love how they incorporate being a Jew.
Yeah.
And they overdo it, right? I mean, they overdo it in their dialogue. They overdo it in their film, but it's either funny or it helps me either care for the character more or not care for the character more. And here it just felt like sensory overload.
To me, I saw those moments, and that's why, like, I was talking about connecting from being like in a non-Jewish perspective. It's this constant battle for meaning and battle of confusion.
Yeah.
And to me, at least, I was
maybe that's the point of the sensory
That's what I was
overload, right?
feeling.
Is to be completely encompassed. It's like living in a commune, right?
Yeah.
And like this commune is like this is all we know.
exactly.
But now, and what's the line from, is it Socrates? For one thing I know with certainty is I know nothing.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
is it Socrates? Like, they might not be
Yeah,
Socrates. but
no, it is Socrates. And then everywhere he's going, he's trying to hunt for meaning. Everybody's
Sure.
using these like terms of the faith that are supposed to explain things. Even when he uses his own dialogue to like explain, like, oh, we're sit and shiver right here. Like, and then they're like, what? And he's like, well, a religious kind of thing. But it's almost like he's trying to use certain words and faith to explain perfectly what they're going through or what they're looking for. Even this whole hunting for God. And when he's talking to the young rabbi and he says, I don't know what Akshem's trying to show me. And then he starts bringing up all these other terms. I feel like all that's just people using phrases to like make meaning out of something that really it's just going to be this void.
What's up with the neighbor?
Which one?
The one that went hunting with his kid. He's playing catch.
I feel like that's another one of those things where it's a world that he doesn't understand, and it feels like there should be a problem there. Like it's
exactly.
constantly a point of tension,
Right.
And then even when he gets an explanation from the neighbor, the whole like, oh, the line's the poplar.
Right.
It's like, well, what's the poplar? Like where? And then he's like, go ahead and measure it. And he's like, okay, well, like I could measure it. And he's like, oh, well, you'll see the poplar line and all that. And it's like everybody has their own phrase, location, numbers to explain everything that they do, but all that's just this. It's so meaningless. I mean, even, they live in houses that don't have borders, and they're complaining about where the line should be drawn.
Sure.
So to me,
it's a very Jewish thing, by the way. Like in the sense of like, I don't mean the stereotype. I mean the sense of like they pride themselves on being openly complaining about normal things.
Yeah.
This is the thing very much in the Jewish culture. It's just like,
They're open
I'm
about
going to complain because I'm an honest person and I just have to let it out.
Yeah.
That's a Jewish thing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like and they pride themselves on it. Like they're just like, like for instance, comedians all the time. I'm sure you've heard it. John Mulaney talks about it. He's like, in one of his first specials, he's like, oh, I have a new girlfriend, and she's Jewish. And I just love that because she there's no like passive aggressive, like I'm just like sad today. It's just like, no, I fucking hate my life.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's a very Jewish thing.
Okay.
So like that, his neighbor's not Jewish.
Yeah.
Neither neighbors, I think.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe.
No, I think
maybe the girl neighbor,
because he
she was
uses
present
that
at temple.
thing
I forgot about
he's
the other
what did he call it? The goy or
The goy.
something? Yeah, the goy. Like, oh, your neighbor. He's like, yeah, he's a goy, right? And it's like,
That's
yeah.
what I was wondering because at first I thought that was just a Yiddish way of saying guy, and then I realized, oh, it's like Gentile. It's like a non-Jewish person.
I mean, it's kind of fun. I feel like
sure,
Okay,
it's
well,
fun.
okay, well-
We can refer to to goys because we're all goys.
yeah.
Okay, explain it to me then. The teeth thing.
The teeth thing.
No fucking purpose. That's the point. That's the point of the
That's
film.
the point of the whole film.
That's the film.
That's the film.
That's the film. Yeah, that conversation is the film. Do you want to? Can I explain? Do you want to explain this?
No, I've had my fun.
I feel like no. That's,
No, I
that's
see what
really-
you're saying. Like,
the
it's
whole. It's a long walk for a short drink of water, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's. I'm going to tell you this whole story, and
It has
you're going to hope that it fixes your life.
Uh-huh.
But there's no point to it other than the fact that then, hey, so he almost lost control. He went as far as to go to this grocery store, which wasn't all that far from his house. But after that, he kind of just let it go. Like,
Yeah, he kind of just laid it off.
he just went to like the line and that's it.
He just forgot
No,
about
and
it.
then also, especially going back to that whole, like, you're trying to connect to it for meaning. He says, and he was sitting in the same place you're sitting now,
Yeah.
looking at me, telling me this. And then he's like, what a story.
And then a lot of people are aware of this. The smart lawyer is basically like, he told you the tooth story, right? Like,
And that's
you're aware.
all that the
Alan
faith...
Arkin, by the way, I love Alan Arkin.
That's
He's
all that the
crazy.
faith, at least in their world, is giving them. That they go up to them for questions and they're
Yeah.
looking for answers.
That's what I was
And they're
realizing.
just like... No, and then it's crazy because
Yeah.
if you listen to what the rabbis were saying, even like the last one, it all just sounded like, we're not going to know why Akshem does this.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
So let's just...
That's what was
Enjoy
annoying.
life.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's kind of like, hey, and then even like that whole thing, like, help me, like, what does it mean? And then he's like, well, I said, hey, helping people and doing charity couldn't hurt, right? Like it's kind of like,
gonna hurt.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Gonna hurt.
it's that's the whole film, and that's
no.
I
Now
feel like
here's something to explore, though. Here's
Yeah.
something to explore. I think
Please, I need it.
I feel like this
something to explore
podcast
is
just-
the ending, right? And
Yes.
and I think
Which is
Austin.
good. I liked it.
Austin and most people might feel like the fuck, like I wanted
WTH.
more. What happened to him? He goes back to the doctor. He goes, but that's what we love to Ni Tu Mama También is that we don't need to know. We know exactly what the fuck is happening without
even like when it was
being-
trying to
yeah.
close the arc of the kid who wanted to get his $20 back,
Right.
and he's finally going to give it to him, and then that doesn't matter anymore because there's a tornado coming.
Right.
And
So that's the whole point, right? Is like the tornado coming. It doesn't matter. None of your problems, none of your happiness
Yeah.
matters.
yeah,
It's going to be gone within 5 minutes.
even like I mean, they don't confirm it, and it doesn't show much. But if you pause the frame with the tornado, it looks like it's around the residential area. Basically, it's meaning like it's wiping out.
Do you guys? Yeah, it's very nearby, and he's on his way in a car somewhere to the doctor's office. Do you guys know the story of Job in the Bible?
Guy looks for
Job?
answers from God, and God doesn't reply, and then he like becomes all like mad and grumpy, right?
A little
That's
more
an oversimplification.
That's oversimplification. Job loses everything. Basically, this is literally. You read this in the Bible. God and the devil make a bet. They make a bet with each other, okay? Because Job is God's most faithful servant, and the bet is. Why don't you guys tell me I have stuff on my shirt? The bet is
God tells Job
Yeah,
that?
he does. Do you want it to tell me? I got this over here.
Hey, Job.
God tells the devil,
sweater.
"You can tempt my servant, and he's not going to cave, man."
You were about to
You
say
do
homie.
whatever. My homie, you could tempt him, you could throw anything his way, he's not gonna forsake my name. And the devil's like, oh really? All right, I'm gonna kill his wife, I'm gonna kill his kids, I'm gonna dry up his land so he can't make money or grow crops for food. I'm gonna do everything, I'm gonna do all this shit. And he does. And Job doesn't
still
forsake
doesn't.
God's name.
He still doesn't.
And as a reward, it's like a reward. As a reward, he's given, according to the Bible, he's given, I think, 3 times what he lost. So, in the Bible, or in older culture, it's like if you have more kids, you have more
Right.
blessings or whatever, right? So it's like you got more kids, another wife. You know what I mean? Like, so my point with that is that this is kind of what this is, right? Like, his servant is like God's servant. He's trying to remain true to the faith. Everything's being taken away from him. And then he finally has a moment of like joy and like, I'm going to get tenure. It's been confirmed. My wife wants to come back to me. I'm getting everything back.
No,
And
even
then-
like his son going through the whole bar mitzvah,
Yeah.
like that means a lot to him in the faith and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then it's like Noah's Ark. Like, all right, buddy, here's a fucking storm. None of it matters. Your happy moments, your sad moments, none of them matter. And that's why I say I align a lot with Inside Llewyn Davis. Inside Llewyn Davis ends on a pretty similar note. Much more bleak than this. Because,
Oh, shit,
yeah,
okay.
it's much more bleak.
Well, I mean, like, we'll see. We'll see when we see it.
when we talk about it. But anyways, that's the point of this picture is like, dude, all of the shit you're upset. And I think it's a message to the audience. Like,
Yeah, I understand the
Number
message.
one, ask questions. Ask questions to all your religions and like ask questions because people are going to give you these bullshit excuses. And hey, man, I grew up, in a religious kind of environment and the people that are the happiest in those environments are the ones that don't ask questions.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was thinking of my whole freaking.
The other side of that coin is it's a message to the audience of like, dude, you're worried about your debt, you're worried about not having money, you're worried about your wife divorcing, you're worried about whatever. None of it matters, dude. We're all gonna die anyways. Like, just be happy for the moments that you do have.
What a weird cosmic thing to happen, where you could do everything right in society. You could eat healthy, not smoke, love your family, pray every day, and you can get cancer tomorrow. And that's the whole thing. That this guy, he's like, I am not going to be a bad person. I am going to admit my fault. I am going to do everything I can to be a good person. And at the end of it all, it's kind of like.
So I also felt like there was a pinch of. Have you guys seen American Beauty? Kevin Spacey. It's that. It's a guy going through a mid-age crisis or whatever. Midlife crisis, rather. And his wife fucked somebody else, and like he's just like, I'm gonna go balls to the wall and everything else, and dates like his daughter's 17-year-old cheerleader friend, and like fucks around with her, and like he goes through this, like quits his job and works in a drive-through, and just like, none of it matters. I'm just gonna, do what I want. So like, I think he was getting to that point. This character was getting to that point of like, I'm not going to get tenure. I'm just going to take this fucking money. I don't give a shit. I don't care what happens anymore. My wife's going to leave me. I'll just move to the hotel. Like, he's getting to a point where it's like, all right. And oddly enough, when he stops caring is when shit starts to go right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So, like, it has a pinch of that American Beauty factor. But anyways.
I don't know. The whole time I was seeing this film, and I don't know if I'm going to piss off some people, it just kept reminding me of why.
Of why what?
Religion is such BS.
I mean, that's kind of
because when we're talking about something like that in the Pool trilogy or something like that,
or Mother maybe,
we've talked about it in a couple of different films, especially like when you watch these critical films that look at religion and the people who look to it for all the answers and are met with silence.
Look,
exactly,
like film Silence.
Exactly.
Scorsese nod. Here you go, Castro.
We did that episode. Okay, calm down.
No. But what I was actually going to refer to is I'm going to go a little deeper. Scorsese is going to be a priest, right? And then he decided not to because he fell in love with cinema. And while he was his first film, Who's That Knocking at My Door, and Mean Streets. I'll tie those two together. Mm-hmm. A lot of his films have these Catholic imagery, and the character is usually in the middle of a moral dilemma of following his faith and being faithful to, like, not his newer stuff, but those films.
Yeah, the first one.
It was like Mean Streets. It's like the main character, Charlie, is like from the hood and from the streets, and he's a good fellow type character, but he wears a Catholic cross around his neck, and he's constantly going to church and confessing. And he's constantly like, this is kind of that aspect is like, well, I live this kind of underworld life, but I can't let go of my tradition. I can't let go of my, like, when things are going south, when things are going good, like, the one thing I'm not going to betray is God.
Right.
So, like, I think, by the way, in terms of the Jewish people, probably, in my opinion, have that stronger than anybody.
That's why I think he makes a little bit of sense with stuff like.
And their position, by the way, is like, our people have gone through so much. And according to the Bible, we're the first civilization. We're the civilization that went through all this stuff. We were slaves and we were lost in the desert for 40 years, and we were like, but we overcame all of this and persevered. We're a people of perseverance. And it's like, yeah, but you gotta ask questions. Like,
exactly. No, and even at the very end, or when he's talking to the second rabbi, and he says like, what does all this mean? And he says, hey, our only job is to serve our duty, and that's it. We're not here to ask the questions. We're here to just serve. Like he's I think the line was
getting me pissed off.
Like
understanding why though.
Oh no, I think he said it to the first rabbi where he was like you might not like what the boss has to say, but he's still the boss, or something like that. And that's basically what everybody's telling him, that you don't have to.
He said the boss can be wrong 10 times, but he's still the boss.
Yeah.
So he can be wrong. That being the operative word, right?
No, and I mean that's the whole thing. It's and then it's so interesting because also, at least what I relate to is there's so many things that happen in life, in society, like where he says, I got into a car crash at the same time that this guy did. And he's like, what does that mean? Like, of all times to get into a car crash, the one guy who I feel
It's kind of my mortal enemy.
Yeah, is kind of like
It has to be something from
he
it,
took my
right?
wife. He's influencing her to get a divorce with me, and then
Yeah.
he told me I need to move out of my house.
And if you think about it, right, that's where the shit starts to a certain degree, like at least peaks.
Yeah.
And him being out of this guy's life kind of solves his life. It's a weird little blessing in disguise. His wife now has no, and decides to try to fix the marriage. Like all of these questions of like, why
even
does...
finding out later on that he was the one sending the letters.
Right.
Like, he,
You know what I mean?
he
That
always
was-
vouched for
that was
you.
twice.
Like,
the car
Yeah.
crash on his end and the car, like, I think it's also alluding to a message of like, hey dude, like you could have been this dead guy that crashed at the exact same moment you did. You didn't die. And because he's dead, your life got substantially better. Don't fuck it up. Like,
Yeah?
but then again, none of it matters.
Yeah.
Tornado.
Just
none of it matters.
coincidence. Fucking
And
coincidence.
cancer.
And cancer.
And cancer.
Because what else are you
Because
going to do?
why not? Also, it's important to note that this film was set in the 60s. And in terms of being conservative, the Jewish people are notorious for being conservative. Maybe not so much now, but Orthodox Jews is something thrown around very commonly because they decide to stick to the old ways. So
yeah.
That's how the rich stay rich.
it's Hollywood, call us. But it is very much so like they do stick to their traditions and they maintain the aspect of like, I'm not going to let this go and I'm going to maintain. I have friends who are friends with Jewish people that practice Shiva, like practice the Sabbath and invite them to Shiva on Friday nights and invite them to, you know what I mean? Like it's and they just go just because they want to study the culture and
Is
they want
it
to.
true that 85% of Jewish people are accountants?
About that.
I
I heard that. I read that somewhere.
Castro.
What I do know is that.
Can we bleep
no, I don't know that. I don't know.
That's not a bad thing, man. That means they're smart.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is that what I do know is that the big thing with Jewish people is lineage. Even in the Bible, there's books, literally full-on books that trace the lineage of Adam to Abraham to Moses to Jesus Christ. That was through David.
Oh, yeah.
So like the lineage is super important. That's why Jewish people want their sons and daughters to marry other Jewish people to maintain the Jewish lineage. It's almost like the mob, man. Like you can trace back to see if Italy open the books to see if you can be in the mob, be made. And if you have Irish blood, if you have whatever, you can't be in the mob. So like the Italian mob anyway. So like Jewish people are very notorious about that. Like now it's modern. Now you marry whoever you want. But to a certain degree, Jewish parents are like, marry a nice Jewish girl. Like that's still a very
No,
thing.
and then
So,
also like the neighborhood that they're in and all that.
Yeah.
That's why it's like important that, Jewish school, Jewish surroundings,
Right,
Jewish
right,
friends
right,
and everything.
right.
And that's why it's a mystery to them when there's this guy who hunts and just
That's a
that
good
doesn't
point.
make sense.
By the way, that tornado in that area, in that year, is factual.
67?
That actually happened.
Around 67.
66,
I saw the
67.
newspaper.
It actually happened.
For real. I like those little...
Those little
Yeah.
like cosmic thing actually happened.
It means the writer did his research, kind of.
Yeah, the Cohen Brothers' writers are super strong writers.
Yeah.
Man. They're phenomenal writers.
Fuck, I was going to say something.
Same. No, I just wanted to add in also that as far as the strength of this film, which I find in every Coen Brothers film, without a doubt, is the distinctness for each character. I mean,
Oh, sure. They're very
I-
quirky. I don't know if quirky is even the right word.
they're just
Because
so.
Wes Anderson is quirky. Their
But also the
characters
Coen
are-
Brothers, though. Now that you've mentioned it.
I don't know if it's quirky. They're distinct. They're
Later on, I wanted to show you a film for Wes. It's called Rushmore.
I want to see
And-
Rushmore. It's been on my
and-
list forever.
yeah.
That one, my new theory, because I think if
Who
I'm
came
not
first? Coen Brothers.
the egg. No, no. Rushmore. Wes Anderson talks a lot about how that was basically him in high school, that he joined all these academic leagues and all that, and made this character. But that character is every single character in every film
that's
after that.
interesting. You're
After
right. I see what
Rushmore,
you're saying.
they're always
I know
that
where you're headed
Max
with this.
character. Well, I don't know where I'm headed with that, but
No. Where I think you're headed with that is that the Coen Brothers wrote literally the synagogue that they filmed out in this film was their hometown.
yeah.
They grew up Jewish. They grew up in the faith. So like, this character, this film, as I understand it correctly, was born out of. The pitch was, hey, it'd be funny if this kid is high on his bar mitzvah and has to talk to the priest. That scene was the
The main...
focus point where everything came out of.
Yeah.
So like, where I think you're headed to in that direction is like, they instill this type of character in every single one of their films. Like there's a version of this kid in every single one of their films.
Kind of. I just feel like what impresses me about them is actually the individuality of each character. That when
you don't feel like they start to blend a little bit. I feel like there's a formula. I feel there's a little bit of a formula. Let me explain why.
Okay.
The polar opposite of this film, Hail Caesar, takes place in Hollywood. The lead is Eddie Mannix, played by Josh Brolin, and then you have these quirky, weird, funky Hollywood characters like Channing Tatum and like. But Eddie Mannix is a straight edge. Yeah. Eddie Mannix is the guy controlling the ship because it's happening to him or through him. That happens in every single one of his films. Fargo, the quirky one is the cop. It's Francis. The straight edge is William H. Macy. Like his character's like kind of straight edge and what the fuck is happening to me. Like Big Lebowski.
No, there is that thorough line with
Big
all their
Lebowski's
characters.
kind of both.
No, but there is that thorough line, and I feel like the Coen Brothers then, like after they have their main focal point character, then everybody else is like the obstacles.
And I think that's why I really love Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
And True Grit for that same token. True Grit, if you haven't seen this, that's terrific. I think you would probably love True Grit.
It's with what's that guy?
The actor
Daniel.
No.
Now, True Grit is with Haley Steinfeld, where she was nominated in the Academy Award at like fucking
Jeff
14.
Bridges and
Jeff Bridges.
Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, Jeff Bridges. Dude, it's a terrific picture. It's a Western. It's a remake of a John Wayne Western.
The poster for it.
But it sets up these characters, same thing, throws them into this extreme situation. Yeah. But they're not like, they encounter the quirkiness of the West. Right,
but they're not
themselves. They're again these straight edges, kind of just trying to get from point A to point B. But that one to me felt like the most cinematic. I think
maybe
True Grit.
I love the way that the Coens are able to create these new circumstances for their characters and just put you in that ride.
They're a good voice in cinema.
Yeah.
They're a really good voice in cinema.
Because I mean, if you look at like, let's go to like, this one. Where you see that the guy, he goes to all these different rabbis. He goes to like a sister that's introduced briefly, and then he goes to his wife, and then he goes to this Cy Abelman guy.
Sister?
Yeah.
Oh, that was his sister, the one at the park?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, at the beach, I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't realize that was his sister.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I just thought it was somebody I legitimately thought it was a love interest he was eventually going to fall.
No.
I didn't hear this. I didn't hear the sister part.
I thought, I might be wrong, but I thought that there was some bit of dialogue.
You might be right. It was just a
I just
lot
didn't
of dialogue that I didn't. That you subconsciously skip over because it's in Jewish terms. Like you want to understand it, but you're like, oh.
So what's up with the neighbor then? The other neighbor.
Just Mrs. Robinson?
Yeah, was she just a fantasy?
I think it was.
No, I think it was his like.
The meaning behind it?
You were saying like he just doesn't care anymore? Or?
Yeah.
I think
it
was something to kind of
saw her from the roof. I'm going to shoot my shot. And I'm just gonna let loose, and that part of that is like smoking weed, right? Like, he could have said no. He could have been
no. She's absolute temptation, and that's I think what she was going to manifest into because by the way, she's a sex symbol, does weed,
and by that same token, the sex scene, for instance, is a dream. Mm-hmm. He doesn't break temptation because if he would have, he would have been worse than the wife. Because the wife didn't have sex with Cy.
We all know she did, right?
No.
Yeah, and it
was very clear that like we haven't, but we want to. So fucking divorce me.
Correctly
divorce me. But with her, it was like he probably would have fucked her if he stuck around if this guy wasn't coming in with handcuffs, but he didn't.
Well, I'm being realistic about it. Like obviously they're gonna say they did.
No. But I mean, also like they themselves are living by rules that they follow truly. Like with her, she's like, I really like, I feel this connection. I feel like we're starting to get close, but I can't do anything. So we're going to do it correctly. Yeah. Like before I can have an affair with you, let me get properly divorced through the church.
And it's like, hey, can you help talk to my husband?
Exactly. Dude, oh my goodness.
No,
and then everybody has these rules and it's so interesting. And I love looking at each of the characters and their rules because like even that Cy guy, that like his rule on anger and frustration is that if you ever feel that you're getting if you're getting overwhelmed, all you need to do is count to 10, and that's his only rule. That if you're getting overwhelmed, let's count to 10.
Even he says, I sometimes feel that if I'm ever angry, like it doesn't always work, I
Yeah.
sometimes feel like this works for me.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say in that regard, in terms of people living by their own rules, I really, really like the Alan Arkin character. It's not just because I like him as an actor. I mean, he's terrific. But
Yeah.
I like the lawyer character because he seems to be the most elevated, and it's probably because he seeks an education outside of the faith. And yeah, he's still true to the faith, but he has a life outside of the faith.
Yeah.
And by that same token, all the questions that our lead, his name's Larry, right? The lead,
Yeah,
the character. Larry, all the questions Larry's asking himself, or like assuming or like questioning, the lawyer character has already questioned. For instance, when the thing arises of Psy, like when the wife is telling him,
like
he's
he
like,
says all the
"Psy?
same things."
What the fuck? The lawyer's like, really, Psy?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
Like
questions
Esther's
like,
not
yeah.
even cold. And it's like,
Yeah, Esther's not even cold.
The
It's
same
all the
thing.
same thing. So like
Yeah.
he already had these thoughts, right? Like
See,
he's
that's-
already 10 steps ahead.
Again, back to the whole rule thing. That's also interesting. Like the fact that there's this belief that after a spouse dies and all that, you're supposed
not
to.
even
Yeah,
cold.
she's not even cold. Like they can't. They have to let an exact
3
amount of
years.
time pass, and then after that time, they're considered fully passed, even though they've been dead. Like.
Also, this is a very flaky.
See, you have to explain that to me.
Yeah, no, and
I kind of got what
it's
they
the
were
sense
saying.
of the rule.
And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
like, and that's why I go back to him being this theoretical physicist, because he himself believes he's living by all the right rules.
That's an
and
interesting thing,
he's
right?
existing
That's
under
good.
he's existing under the constructs of like this is how life works. This
That's
is how
what
we
I'm grabbing
explain
But
it.
that's the thing. As a theoretical physicist, is he a theoretical physicist or is he a Jewish theoretical physicist? Because if you're a Jewish theoretical physicist, you don't believe it, and then most religion, you
Yeah.
don't believe in science the way science needs to be believed. But,
Yeah.
but,
Very
math,
true,
but
very
numbers and math make sense, right?
Yeah.
So to him, this is the way.
Yeah.
That's
right?
why I went
So
back to
like-
my Jewish joke.
and
It was just
that's
nothing.
why,
Yeah, no. But
No,
that's what
and-
I mean is like he can depend on the facts, but his
I
faith
think-
leads him to believe like
I think what it is, and the reason he leans towards like the theoretical physics side,
Yeah.
is because he believes at the end of the day, regardless of everything, there's always an answer, and that's why that's why during that scene when he's like, "Hey, could you read what I wrote down?" and he looks at his brother's mentaculus, which is a real
it's a
concept.
big piece of the film. You need to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna
it's
say
a
that.
real concept. Basically, it's this search that people believe you can find an equation that will explain everything.
That's what
That mentaculus.
Mathematicians,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what they believe.
that's what they're all hunting for. They're
Exactly.
hunting for the exact equation that explains life and itself.
Yeah.
Every action, every reaction, everything that could possibly happen is explained through a
Has an
formula.
answer, yeah.
And that's why he is so interested in this book, because it's supposed to be this thread, and it's hard to understand. It's written in this odd dialogue
I was
and
telling
language.
you that, like the Stephen Hawking, theoretical physicist, that was his life's work. Was like a brief history of time and like how this
Trying to prove
you know,
this, trying to prove that.
and
but it
that's-
was that. It was
But
equations and it
what's
was,
the interesting dichotomy is that if you look at like his brother, he was looking for the formula that would explain everything, and in the dream sequence that he had of himself, that Psy's beating him up, his big formula was to say that this explains that we know nothing. And it's almost like he was battling between these two formulas. Like everybody was telling him that
Yeah.
it all means something, and he was battling the fact that everybody's explaining to him that it means nothing.
you know what
and
I love
who's
about that?
true?
You know
Like-
what I love about the dichotomy? To me, it's first layer, second layer. The top layer, the simple layer is, oh, he discovered the formula and he's using the formula to better his life, which is why he's using it to gamble.
Yeah.
That's the top surface.
yeah.
The real, the deeper meaning to me is
That's in
like,
trouble.
I got past that. Like I got past that. I got past the whole why to use this. So and nothing matters. So I am just going to use it for whatever.
Yeah.
I got to nothing matters. I got to this theory explains that nothing matters. So fuck it. While I'm here, I'm going to use it to better my life.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
the surface level was like, ooh, I found this formula for gambling. The next one was like, fuck it, I'm gonna gamble because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It
anyways.
matters anyway.
Because at the end of the day, you know, he's like, oh, I can't even play cards. And that's all it was. It's not even like, how do I better my life? How do I get a job and all that? It was just like, I just want to play cards. Like in a world that means nothing, the simple joy of just playing cards is all that matters.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
I also have a fun fact.
You want to go first?
Michael, what is it? Stolberg
Stolberg.
Larry.
studied mime with the great French actor and mime artist Marcel Marceau.
Wow. I've heard of that name.
He was known in France as Beep or Bop the Clown.
Oh,
Yeah, he was a famous artist.
interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact
Is that Stolberg auditioned and tested to be the husband in the first scene, and that's all he was auditioning for. And then the reason he didn't get cast as that is because he didn't speak Yiddish very well.
See, he was good at mine. There you go.
And the Coen brothers were like, "Hey, but we kind of, after so many auditions, kind of like you for this other role, the main role." And then they cast him as that.
Yeah,
Originally, you know who tested for Larry, the character of Larry? Mark Maron.
Oh,
A fellow
my goodness.
Jew who's...
he wouldn't have been
He
bad.
wouldn't have been bad. That's what
It would have been more comical.
No, it would have been less comical.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because he's a
I mean,
Because
have you seen?
his comedy is not...
yeah, his comedy's kind of like
He's like
Subdued.
self-deprecating and he's
Exactly.
like, fuck this. And that's Mark.
But have you seen like the Mark Maron show?
the sitcom?
Yeah.
But that's meant to be in that formula.
You think
he's
so?
not like that.
You
Yeah,
think
he's
so?
not like that.
I mean,
Well, then again,
I've
this
seen
was
his
2009.
stand-up and everything, and from everything I see, there's
He's
this.
not like John
Yeah, that's what I'm
Mulaney.
saying. Like in stand-up, he doesn't.
He's
But I don't know what you're
just
seeing.
Jewish Mark. You know, like
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that would like I love this
Stolberg.
Yeah, Stolberg's performance just because there's this very subdued kind of like
Innocence. There's like an innocence, no?
I guess yeah, like an innocence that he's constantly trying to just do things right, and you feel his character, and he never wants to like get too emotional,
Sure,
and
which was annoying
he
me.
holds that reserve, and in that reserve, it's kind of like the.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The
frustration that
casting was
everybody-
perfect. I'm glad
Yeah.
they went that route.
But-
Just
but
saying,
Maron would have been
Mark
a really
Maron would have been an
interesting
interesting choice.
Yeah.
Dave Attell.
Dave Attell. No, that would have been funny.
But he's also Jewish, right? I think. he's
Yeah,
also
Dave
Jewish.
Attell. Man, yeah. All right. Ratings?
Did it go up? Well, you started.
Or I don't know. Are we? Do we have anything else to touch on?
I thought that the intro to the film was really interesting because
By the way, they're married in real life.
really,
Yeah.
Oh,
is she also
that's also an interesting fact.
A killer, a
Rabbi
priest killer,
stabber,
a rabbi
yeah.
stabber. That what?
That's also a fact.
Oh yeah. Fun fact. They're married
That
in
was
real
fun.
life. Yeah.
That was fun.
What about the scene though?
No. I think that opening, it's interesting because before, I guess, them explaining the whole it being a short film that they just didn't know where to put it and all that kind of stuff, it was up for like contention a little
I
while.
mean, don't get me wrong. There had to be some relative connective tissue.
No. But that's the
like
thing.
Tropic Thunder
That's the
with those
thing.
movies
They
out.
wanted to. Not only did they want to immerse people, but they wanted to give people who were going to dissect the film and again look for meaning the way that this guy's looking for meaning, and they were going to throw something in there that was never going
That
to
they
have.
thought they were waiting for the
Yeah.
callback.
Oh, that
So
would've-
they were like, like people were coming up with theories like,
It
was
dawns
that
on
their
me, man.
lineage? Because again, Jewish and lineage and all that.
Look.
They were like, is that their lineage that after that they accidentally stabbed a priest and then it cursed the family and the curse is
yeah,
coming to
yeah,
happen
yeah.
to them?
You have
And
that
people
thought, you
came
have
up with
that
theories
thought.
and all that kind of stuff and different things and like what it might mean. And they were like, nope, just the film.
Yeah, just
and
No,
that's-
but yeah, that is the epitome of all of this, right? But I can't help but wonder, like, the Coen brothers were at their peak at that point, right? They're just in True Grit I'm sorry, Burn After Reading, and like they had a name for themselves. They could do whatever the fuck they
Yeah.
want, and it dawns on me every once in a while that these filmmakers, these directors we admire and love, are in a position of power to do shit like that, costing millions of dollars.
Yeah, a
just to
whole
fuck
set
with
and
the
everything.
audience a little bit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Dude, that's how I felt about the new Ari Aster film. Like, we have to have a conversation about
About
that.
Bo's
but-
Afraid, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure,
but-
for sure.
yeah, no.
I'll pick that one for my next film.
It was-
Bo's Afraid?
Yeah.
It was really just
Heavy.
what was it? I don't know.
That's the point.
I haven't
That's the
seen it.
point. That's the point. We'll get there.
But yeah,
anyways,
I mean, I'll stick it at again like an 8.5, 8.6.
Went up one.
Yeah, because I really like this. I like the execution of trying to envelop the audience in being lost in searching for meaning.
but you're gonna piss a lot of people off, man.
Exactly.
You're gonna piss the majority of your audience off.
You pissed off
The
this.
people who don't analyze cinema. the
I guess
surface
so.
level, audience going member. But
again, that's why you
the
said
Coen
this
Brothers
is me.
aren't.
Like,
No. But the Coen Brothers aren't that. They're not seeking to please the audience.
Exactly.
They've never
Which is-
sought the
which is
please.
what's fun about it.
Yeah.
and I mean, I get curious, like with people who haven't seen this movie for the first time, or like general audience people who aren't analyzing it for like cinematic value. Like, I mean, I feel like
They feel betrayed at that point.
and that's so cool. Like
I
the
guess.
fact that it sparks up that.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, that's not everybody. And if you're not
want
going to
closure,
talk about
nothing.
it more than a few minutes,
And you know what? You're rooting for Larry the entire time. Even when you think he's going to do something bad, like get the money, you're kind of like,
Or
take the fucking money, man.
grade,
You need it.
when
Yeah.
he's erasing the grade.
Yeah, like you're still rooting for
Even
him,
in
and
his,
again, like I love his piece when like they're gonna tell him the tenure thing, and he's like, "I'm not an evil man." Like,
Oh
I
my
like,
God, that one, dude.
it's him, it's who he is, and like we're rooting for that. Like, yeah, dude, just like give him a break, give him a fucking break.
I mean, the boss is like,
so by the time we get to the cancer thing and the tornado, it's like, son of a bitch, man.
Yeah.
Like, on the surface, again,
Yeah.
the deeper
But
meaning that we just discussed.
That's so
but
great.
on the
Like,
surface.
because I feel like everybody can connect with that. Like when things go wrong and that whole I'm not a bad guy and all that, and you're just like, why is this happening to me? And then the film explains like it just happens. Like
it just happens to anybody and everybody.
It's a cosmic. Even like you said, the whole tornado thing. It came. Nobody did anything.
And by the way,
Which
I
is
don't
a
know
big
the
contention of the
logistics,
film.
and I don't know historically if so many people died or who survived or who didn't. I don't know.
But again,
Yeah,
that whole thing where he's like, I didn't do anything, and that's repeated throughout the entire film.
absolutely.
And then even his brother was like, I didn't do anything. I was just playing cards. And everybody's like, we're not doing anything. Why are things just happening?
Another thing that like one of the priests actually pointed out, I think it was one of the priests, maybe it was Sai, which I kind of live my life by after
the counting to 10.
post-religious experiences in my life. I kind of live my life by like, I believe in God, and I do believe in a higher power, and I do believe in God, but I don't think God owes us I don't think he owes us anything, man.
Yeah.
God doesn't owe you
That was the
anything.
second rabbi,
and
I
that
think,
was the
yeah.
rabbi telling him like, God doesn't owe you anything. In fact, we owe him. And I so like I think in my kind of experience, it's like, dude, you're lucky just to have a roof over your head. Like there's no formula to this, and you don't deserve dick. Like you're a shitty human being. Like we're all shitty human beings. So
Exactly.
be grateful for what you get, because you don't deserve shit. So like when religious people up themselves and put themselves on a high horse, it pisses me off, because it's like, oh, but I'm the son of a king or whatever. It's like,
Dude, that's
buddy, you're a piece of shit. Everybody's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that's why, even by your definition in the Bible, that's why humans are damned, because we were pieces of shit in the beginning too. So like, we don't deserve anything. So just be nice and be courteous to people, and don't be an asshole. And like,
like last kind of thing, at least for you guys like who know me well. This was one of the films I saw, I think probably like high school, and I've returned to like every now and then, at least like once a year. And it's, I love, it's not a nihilistic factor, because it's not trying to destroy meaning. It's just accepting, and the challenge of accepting a lack of meaning and reason for things happening.
Sure.
That's tough for me.
By the
So
way,
that's why I exist the way I do.
cinema,
Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying.
when cinema can be a mirror, and make you analyze life and make you analyze like existence, it's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful
That's
when
what
cinema
I'm
can.
trying-
That's what this film is doing. It's
yeah.
like, all I
I
know
also-
is I know nothing, and there's no
Dude,
meaning, so maybe just be happy.
I know it's
Like,
bad, but I know that
you know.
there's so many times I've shown this film to people just because I know it's going to be like,
Jeez, mother.
it's your gospel.
You
It's your
sneaky
tool
little-
to like,
what do you mean?
like
Look
it's
how
your,
you got Austin, bro.
No. Like, I like showing it because there's also, again, we've always talked about
he
how.
screens the film for people, and he's like, I'm not serving you coffee.
Oh my
Because
god.
nothing matters.
No. I like jump through the window right now.
Nothing, man.
No. I show it because.
Daddy wasn't there.
Oh my God. No, it ticks people off, and then it makes you have to reflect, like, wow, did a film really just make me feel this way? And that's
And
also
for
impressive.
that reason,
Yeah.
I go up to a 7.5.
Aw.
Because it makes it's
From a 7, man.
yeah, it's a powerful cinema. It makes you question everything, and at the same time, again, that's always going to be my answer when it does.
Yeah.
It creates conversation like this.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
the
conversation.
point, So
7.5.
7.5.
What was that? 7.4?
I think you were like 7.4 or something like that.
Look, I'll put it up to 7.5, but this film was pissing me off
But it's contentious.
just because of the religion factor. I have my struggle
But
with
it's
that.
meant to do that. It's
Exactly.
meant to
No,
piss
for
you off and
sure.
be like, question everything. Like,
Yeah, that's why, like, even with the kid, like, you're supposed to hate the kid. Like, you're supposed to be annoyed with the kid.
I love how you were just getting so annoyed at the fact that he's like, he's a fucker.
I know but that's how every kid talks.
Exactly.
When you discover bad
Pass me that
words,
fucker.
it's like, you pass me that fucker. Like, it's just how that's every kid.
Isn't it funny though? Because I mean, and this is getting over analytical, but that's like a new way of expressing a character in society. It's a new way of explaining something, and he's now just like this word that was not necessary before to describe like
Applies
a
to
jerk.
everything.
Yeah, now applies to everything, and now everything's a fucker, and then
yeah,
he's a fucker, and that's a fucker, and fucker.
And life's a fucker.
Yeah,
Ultimately.
and that's again, it's using words and expecting them to like increase understanding of something that's just
Mr. Young, rating. You still at a 6.5, buddy?
Without the coffee. I love it. We do it all slow.
He makes us simmer. in
It's
the
water,
moment
man.
that we
It
leave
tastes
it.
like anything, bro.
a 4.
6.9.
6.9?
8. So
Eight.
it went from 6.5 to 6.8.
So it's still failing.
6.8. When the fuck did I say 6.8?
What did you say?
What did you say?
6.9.
Okay.
So it's still failing, but it's got potential.
It's the C minus.
It's the C minus.
It's the C minus from the
film. Make me coffee next time.
It would have been a C if you would have made him coffee.
I know, right? We're all having coffee and we're like, it was a C, and then it's like with him, minus. It's a little line, but it hurts.
It's a D technically, but
I got a D.
Castro, did
you
your
got a
rating
D
change?
and a 16.
Oh, yours
went
went
up
up to
1.5.
8.5.
Yes. Okay.
Cinema.
Fair.
Cinema.
You're in the 8s, right?
Yeah.
What I think is puzzling though, and this doesn't have to be explained because some films on my favorite film list are not 10s. However, you rated Into Mama También as a 10, for instance, right? But not even this film, which is one of your favorite films, you rated at a 10.
Yeah, that's so weird.
You rated at in the 8s.
Oh, well, like this
Is that
okay.
merit?
It's
Is
not,
that-
that's what he.
Here's what happened. I brought this up to you.
Because Harold and Maude, you rated at a 10.
I brought this up to you when we were at the old office and we were gonna watch Inside Llewyn Davis.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, I think even earlier than that.
That's the day he had a Casa de
even
Dip
earlier
early.
than that, I was like, I really like this film, A Serious Man, but I don't know if I should show it to you guys because I don't know if it's like cinema. And I remember having
you're
this
right.
conversation.
We did have
and
this conversation.
A lot of it had to do with the fact that as you explore cinema,
Wait, was that this film?
It was this
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, it wasn't cinema.
Jeez, it is cinema.
No, as you explore film and you explore foreign cinema and you explore what people consider great cinema and you explore people's personal taste, your palette broadens. You know,
absolutely.
So I definitely before this
Oh, I
one
see
kind
what
of
you're saying.
fell to the
so
wayside.
maybe 5 years ago it was a 10.
Yeah,
But as your palette develops, you're like,
and then
well,
as you see things and as you develop and all that, so that's why. Before this film just kind of like fades into obscurity,
That's fair.
I really
That's fair.
want people
That's
to
fair.
see it
That's
because I
fair.
think
It's one
and
of
I
those
don't
that
think
you
I ever
just-
will, by the way. I have films that are on my top list that are like probably don't deserve to be there, but they hold a special place in my heart. And I've like pruned a lot of the bad films out. Like, all right, that was a 10 years ago.
yeah,
bro.
Sharknado. That wasn't a good choice.
Anyway, we will never do Sharknado on this podcast. If there's one thing I can promise to you, we will never do Sharknado.
But
on
check
this
out my podcast,
Yeah, we actually
Tower
have
After
a-
Dark, where we explore
Do yourself a
That's
favor,
the
man.
pilot, you know?
Don't. Check out the podcast. Don't check out the film. Anyways,
I'm glad you showed
good pick,
it.
man. Yeah, good pick. Good pick.
Yeah,
Good pick.
yeah,
I at first I was like, what are
Yeah.
we doing here? And then we got to a place where it was like, oh, it's deeper than this. And then we got to a place where it was like, it's really deeper than this. And
Yeah,
and
it's
it
got
mattered.
layers. There's a
it
lot
mattered.
of dialogue.
And then I got to a point where I started yelling at the law at the end where I was like, no!
Bad. You made bad cinema. and you will pay.
Amen.
I'd say check out the film.
Yeah, for
I'd say
sure.
it's worth a watch.
Check out Sharknado.
And then this one.
Oh, and then
And
yeah.
then this one to cleanse your palate.
No,
There you go.
this I would hope kicks off that we can do a little bit of filmography on the Cohen Brothers. This is not obviously
Yeah,
like I said,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
top,
I like-
but this would actually
We
my
did
gateway.
Lebowski, right?
We did do Lebowski.
Oh, yeah,
we did
did.
Lebowski.
Did
And
we?
by the way,
It's one of the first ones.
yeah, I was one during the pandemic. We talked a little bit about Jesus roles. which they didn't direct, but they did. I think they got story credit.
Oh, like the sequel that he got or whatever.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I don't think they even got story credit. I feel
Really?
like it was super detached. I think they got like permission to use that character.
okay.
Also,
but it's not anything like
okay.
yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, I got
It's
yeah,
for
man,
free.
I think we could get to that place. I really want to explore like Hell Caesar on this podcast, and maybe even True Grit,
And build up to Ballad.
or get to a place where we can see.
Build up to it.
Ballad of Buster.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
You guys
or
praised
like
that
no
one.
No Country, man, because I've never seen it, and that's everybody's favorite. It's
No
the,
Country?
It's the Pulp
It's their
Fiction.
Oscar winner one, right?
Yeah, it's their Pulp Fiction according to most people. You know, like it's
It's good.
yeah. I heard it's the thing that always sticks in my memory about that is Javier Bardem's character is they made a study that it's the most accurate portrayal of a psychopath.
I have to watch it again to just analyze that. Mm-hmm. So that's the most accurate. Who by who?
Like psychologists and stuff. Like
Whoa,
that's the most
whoa,
accurate.
I think that the
portrayal.
Coen Brothers make
That's good.
the best characters of all time.
Oh,
Like,
I don't know.
I honestly feel like every time I see a Coen Brother character, they're so well developed. Their dialogue's so hard hitting.
No,
like,
they're well-rounded
Dumb and Dumber,
filmmakers,
I mean-
man.
Come on, man, Floyd.
They're well-rounded filmmakers for sure.
No, yeah. But why did they venture off? Why did they like
I
split?
think like any other, dude.
20 years already in
No,
the-
but they've done it before, man. Ethan used to
I was gonna ask
write.
that too.
He was a writer primarily. I think Joel came on the scene first, and Joel was directing most of the early films by himself,
Just by himself.
and Ethan was just writing.
writing.
And I think it wasn't until like No Country or something that they co-directed, and then from there it's like, all right, well, let's just keep co-directing. But they weren't always together.
No,
They were always kind of doing their own thing until they weren't.
This-
And
I didn't know
whoever
this.
said it, by the way, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs was the last thing they did together.
That's what I thought.
Everything
I
else was documentary
researching.
work and stuff like that. They haven't come back to do something
weird.
together. But if I'm not mistaken, they have announced a film together that's going to come out next year. So, but I could be wrong about that. Anyways. A series, man. Go check it out if you haven't. Hopefully you saw it before this podcast. But it's a good film. It's a good film. The Coen Brothers do
a film.
a film. No, they're a voice. They're a voice in cinema.
There we go.
Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Podcast. We are
The WatchTower Podcast.
the WatchTower Podcast.
The WatchTower Podcast.
For cinema lovers.
By cinema lovers. Good night, everybody.
Gaga!